Well, it's been too long since we visited the jungles of Africa, so let's check up on our dear jungle friends in the sequel to the first anime series, Jungle Emperor, Onward Leo. As the first TV anime made its end in Japan, NBC Enterprises began airing the English dub overseas under the name Kimba the White Lion. Due to the success of the original, though, a theatrical movie would be released, as well as the second anime series called Jungle Emperor Onward Leo. Unlike the first series, this one did not have NBC backing it, probably due to the focus on Kimba. Because of this, Mushi Production was free to do whatever they like with the characters and story, and what we got was a much darker series than what the first series had to offer. As far as animation goes, while a lot of the original style is still there, right down to off-sync lip movements, awkward color shadings, and yes, even stock footage, they do integrate some new techniques for different color effects and designs. There's some more detail in the backgrounds than last time, and of course, this is the first Leo series where they allow blood. Yeah, they upgraded death in this series, so might as well be more convincing. Either way, coming into this series, you'd probably be surprised by how even when a lot of the cute animal designs and sometimes goofy human characters are present, the story and scenarios are nothing but a polar opposite from the first. More on that later, but otherwise, what is the overall story? Well, Leo is now an adult, he has Raya as his mate, and much like before, he has to maintain peace in his jungle. However, it's become much more dire than ever before as humans build civilizations closer and closer into jungles, as well as other dangers that come and go. He also has 2 cubs to take care of, so as Jungle Emperor, it's going to take everything he knows to make sure everyone can live in harmony. Most of the established cast from the first series return. Leo, now an adult, retains most of his kind-hearted personality and understanding of human. However, there are times where he has to step outside of his boundaries, whether for good or bad, and it's always interesting to see what he'll do and how he'll get through it. Raya takes a more active role, providing more support for Leo, aiding him whenever possible, and it's just nice that she's doing more for her family. Coco, Tomi, and Manny return as themselves, although their roles are somewhat downplayed and don't have too much to offer outside of some comic relief and the occasional bit of drama. As for the Cubs, the Leo lookalike is Lune, while the Raya lookalike is Rukia. Lune is somewhat timid at first, so a lot of his character development is about trying to become more courageous like his father, so that one day he can be the lion he was. It's also nice to see the two bond and take on situations together like father and son should. As for Rukio, she gets the least amount of character development of all. In fact, and to give a good idea on what a lot of the episodes are like, the one episode she has to herself in terms of character development is episode 6, where she meets a large gorilla who convinces her to help him find his group, though not before having been scratched a few times in what seems to be self-defense. While it does show her being as capable and resourceful as her father was, she would still need his help when a bunch of mandrills try to stop them, cause food, territory, I have no clue. Luckily, I was able to find a channel on YouTube, White Lioness that is, who appeared to have all the episodes to the English dub, although the first 2 episodes were deleted. I should probably mention the English dub was produced though I don't know who exactly dubbed it, but it was released on CBN in 1984 under the name Leo the Lion, and from what I understand, it's pretty accurate to the original, aside from them cutting a few scenes out, but still. The only other difference between this series and the original dub, besides keeping most of the character names?
If you come any closer, I'll bite you, I mean it!
Why do you say that?
How do you do? My name is Bond, Sterling Bond.
Then you'll love it if I go with you.
Come on, then.
That's too fast! Father, wait!
Yeah, the voice acting sucks. They don't even try. There's no charm or anything fun about it. It's just laughably bad and not all that memorable. Anyway, it seems the Mandrills want to take over this valley that the group of gorillas Rukio is following is going to, but are afraid of the giant gorilla, whose name I couldn't make out all that well, because he's known to be temperamental. It turns out to be false, as he's actually a gentle giant and receives quite a beatdown. But seriously, Rukio at least shows her awesome potential and we don't get much else of it. It's even worse when there's only 26 episodes. Yeah, 26 episodes this time. Only half the amount from last time. I would have liked to see more Rukio-based episodes. Maybe have her be put in more danger for her to build her character. Well, okay, but again, have more solo episodes. Still, Lune tends to have it worse when it comes to the dangers he gets into. Hell, the first episode he appears in, episode 5, because he has a hard time learning and that at one point wandered off when he shouldn't, he gets taken out into the middle of nowhere by his own father to fend for himself and find his way home. He did this to teach him that life in the jungle is harsher than he thinks. But even then, it just seems out of character for him, even as an adult. Anyway, Lune had to survive on his own, though he does befriend some field mouse along the way, and near the end are nearly killed by wild cats. Granted, it did the job of getting Lune to fight for his friend when he thought they ate him, but still. Leo, you could have lost him even if you had been watching him. But you know, as the episodes go on, you start to realize just how big a shift the tone between the two anime is. The first series was somewhat mixed on when to be lighthearted and when to be dark. It kept to the boundary of where both young and older audiences can have a sense of enjoyment out of what happened in it. Here, most of the time it's pretty depressing when characters get hurt or even killed. Only so often do things lighten up, and even then you wish there could be more comedic moments. It's like going from a Disney movie to an early Don Bluth production on the same day as watching the former. Unless you're prepared, you wouldn't see this coming. I will say though, the first time they do something that's close to being like a lighthearted episode comes in the form of episode 8, which also contains a plot element from the manga called the Moonlight Stone. No relation at all. Anyway, this episode is very influenced by the James Bond movies. Not just by the character, but just listen to this music piece. Anyway, in order to find out more about the stone, he needs to find Mount Moon. No! But in order to do that, he needs to find Leo, despite being afraid of animals. Now, I'm not sure if this fully turns out to be the same in the original, but holy crap, do they go overboard with the Bond references in the dub. Aside from the agent's name being Sterling Bond in the dub, just listen to this.
Mr. Bond should know perfectly well. You only die once, but moonstones are forever.
Fascinating anatomical tidbit, but probably the most useless piece of information I ever heard.
But yeah, as far as things go, this episode has a steady balance of keeping serious while being able to show the satirical side to it, further indicated by what seems to be a Monty Python reference. Well, then again, the dub does make it sound like they're screaming the "Run away!" Heck, I could replace the audio with that particular clip, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Sadly, the ending of the episode is where they kinda lose me. During the episode, it seems someone is killing off people with poison darts so no one talks, and it ends up killing Bond, and the culprit is a monkey. a monkey. And I'm not even sure why. Why did he do it? What does he have to do with the Moonlight Stone? And he's dead now, so we may never know. Dub says the moon did it, but really, I don't buy it. That's something that bothers me. Many episodes, while having interesting plot points, often seem frustrating when it comes to handling death sequences. Death wasn't much a problem in the original, as it only happened when it needed to, but here, it happens nearly all the time, and in an episode like this, having the main human character die like that just didn't seem right. If anything, this series is more about conflicts between man and beast instead of bringing the two together. Aside from seeing a lot of tribes, we also have a lot more poachers, and in one episode, they really pushed the whole poaching issue on us big time. And in another, in which a blind man wishes to challenge the leopard that blinded him years ago, we have a whole group of leopards massacred by this guy while Leo helped him get to him. Like, geez, you think that's enough? Apparently not, as humans build a giant dam that ends up flooding part of the jungle and drowning many animals. Seriously, it's times like this I wonder why it never happened sooner, and without access to the manga, it's hard for me to gauge just how similar this tone is with it. Either they're going by how the manga would approach it, or they just went too far. The series just likes to throw so much depression, it hurts. But is it always like this? Actually, no. They still throw in some comedic relief, although I wish it was more Coco and Tomi than the new characters. However, one episode, for example, that would seem balanced on tones is episode 19. Here, Lune suggests building a house for animals in order to protect everyone from natural disasters, and pretty much serve as a safe house. All which I do believe is from the manga as well. However, a herd of elephants want to destroy the building because it's human influenced. But willing to keep it up, Lune ends up facing against Bizo, son of the leader of the elephants, who, as established in an earlier episode, is a brat and a coward. Yeah, you will not like Bizo. He just likes causing trouble and doesn't learn anything. However, their fight ends up causing the place to collapse anyway, but because of Lune's kind-heartedness, he's able to help Bizo out. They even rebuild the house right after. Now this is more like it. It delivers an adult-level problem for Leo and family to handle, and is able to come up with a solution that falls on what Leo believes in. Only now carried by Lune to some extent, as this was more influenced by ants, and while there is conflict, it doesn't go as far as other episodes have been. In fact, look at some of these scenes. Don't they look like they belong with the first series? This is the kind of balance that could have been done a lot more. Even if you were to incorporate more death during the series, it wouldn't feel as forced. And it would make the transition between the two series flow more smoothly without alienating your audience. Though to be fair, even during the otherwise depressing episodes, character development is still pretty good. Like I said, Leo and Lune bond a whole lot during the course of the series, to a point where Lune at times seems to surpass his father in terms of resourcefulness and cunning. And of course, despite Rukio not having episodes to herself, she does get some bonding time with her family. It might not be the same as her solo act in episode 6, but at least the writers acknowledge her existence. Back on the stories of episodes, there is at least a variety of things that can happen. We have one episode where a tribe attempts to hunt Leo, which ends up having him blind for a while, and having to figure out a way to survive against them while blind. Blue Lion, who wishes to fight Leo to the death, a boss hyena character who uses Leo to make an agreement with some humans to get food, while this really skinny hyena cooperates with Lune to try and take him down. And there's even one episode where a celebrity comes to the jungle to seek out her pet panther she raised as a cub. Most of them lead to depression, but otherwise seem effective, although some just upset greatly. Remember when I mentioned there was an episode where poaching is taken too far? Well, there's a poacher who does terrible things to elephants, and well, there's this scene. Yeah, That's pretty much the height of dark tones right there. Not all episodes match that, but when you get stories like that, you either stop right there, even if it happens to be well written in its message, or keep watching, hoping for the better. To be honest, I would prefer it if not every episode had to be this mean-spirited. Plus, again, it makes me wonder about the manga and if it even holds up to the message of man and animal coming together in peace. Which leads us to the final 2 episodes of the series. It's a 2-part storyline that brings up one critical point in the manga involving Mount Moon. And this is where they take the most notable deviation. There will be spoilers with this and the upcoming movie I will be covering, so beware. Anyway, a deadly plague sweeps the jungle and seems to kill off many animals who are infected. Even Raya is infected and looks like she'll end up the same way. However, Mr. Mustache returns in the most awesome way possible.
ロンメル将軍。
ひげおやじ君、何をする？
いや、ちょっと見覚えのあるライオンだったんでね。第一、我々は猛獣狩りに来たんではない。確か、学術調査のはずでしたな、ロンメル将軍。ねえ、お久しぶりだな。ひげおやじ、ただいま参上。
And it turns out, he might have a way to cure everyone in the jungle. He sends Lune and Rukio to where one of his fellow scientists is, Dr. Plus, also known as Duke Red in various other Tezuka works, to have it made, and sure enough, the antidote works and Raya is saved. Due to Bizo's stupidity, he gets most of his herd sick too. So what does Mustache suggest? Giant needles!
みんなうまくやってくれたぞ。あとはパグーラさえ連れ出せばいいんだ。それ！
This is why I love Shinzakuban. No matter what name his character is, he shows to be funny and resourceful. In the continuing episode, we learn why he and the other humans were here to begin with. It's all about finding the Moonlight Stone. Apparently, they contain a vast amount of energy and were likely the reason the Earth became the way it was through millions of years of continental changes. So they're hoping they can use them to help with humanity. Of course, because no human ever comes back alive, Leo rejects the offer to take him up. Mr. Mustache takes it well.
なんで図体ばっかりでっかくなりやがって腰抜け。白いからってカッコつけんない。もう頼まん。わしは人間だけで行く。任しとけってんだ。思えば短い生涯だったな。おいおいおい、これは一人用なんだぞ。いててて。
And actually, the first half of this episode is very reminiscent to how the first anime played out. Why couldn't we have more episodes like these? Seriously, it's like all we needed was Mr. Mustache to return and things start playing out like the first series. Leo ends up going and Lune stows along for the ride. They encounter dinosaurs, the mammoth from the first series, and eventually find where the stones are. And then things go downhill from there, as the humans get killed off. 2 are comedically blown away, one guy goes nuts and leaves the group, and of course Dr. Plus, not wanting to slow the group down after getting frostbite, goes off on his own to freeze to death. From there we have yet another deviation. Leo and Mustache get separated from Lune during an avalanche, and it looks like Leo won't be able to make it and tells Mustache to leave him. Rather than go with how the manga would, Lune ends up being the one to save both of them, and then they end up on a river raft back in the jungle. So after all that, we get the happy ending anyway? Well, to be honest, this one at least executed a lot of their more depressing moments better than earlier episodes. There were plenty of funny moments to be had, and the dark moments were self-contained. But one important thing to note is that deviation I mentioned. It should be obvious what I mean given what happened earlier, but otherwise, there's something I want to go over once we get to the movies, especially given fan reactions to both endings. Apart from that though, I do like the message they were able to bring out in that the next generation will adopt the responsibilities of the previous, and will help lead the way to a better future. Well, that's kinda what the dub puts it, but based on this last shot, I think it still fits well. So that's it for the second anime. Overall, it's not quite as memorable as the first anime, and a lot of it can contribute to the majority of the series being overly dark than it needs to be, but there are still stories that are interesting to watch given the age of it all. Just don't come in expecting it to have a fun time. It's clearly not bad, but it's more enough for me to say that the first anime will be the better of the two. For me anyways. Now in 1989, a third anime series would be made, this time acting more like a remake of the first series in a more serious light like with Onward Leo. Sadly, that year would also be the year of Osamu's passing, supposedly during production of episode 6. It's uncertain if he had any creative input on this series, as this one had little to do with the manga or the original TV anime in terms of plot and characters. Unfortunately, I do not have access to every episode of this series, as apparently they were claimed by Viki Inc., so I can't really cover it yet. And I really don't want to cover the English dub for it either, since only 12 episodes were made for that, and wouldn't give me much to cover. It's unfortunate, and seems to put a damper in this whole retrospective. Hopefully in time I will find all the episodes, along with the manga, and will cover it in the future. Otherwise, coming soon will be the last part of the retrospective, for now anyway, where I will cover the two movies I can actually show you. The 1997 Jungle Emperor Leo movie, and Jungle Emperor, The Brave Can Change the Future. See ya then.
しかし平線に朝が来る